connected and passionate and want to find this little guy, and his story means so much to us. It's so nice to be able to talk to someone who knows him. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Glad to be here.
Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome in. Jennifer, would you start tonight with a story or talk a little bit about Michael? Share some things that a lot of us don't know. Just stories, his favorites, things you remember that were so special, cute, things you want to share with us. I just want us all to gather and start talking about Michael.
I don't know if there's much I can say that I haven't already said. Michael is a very spirited child, high energy all the time, go, go, go. The only time he wouldn't move is if he was playing on his tablet and then on his Switch. Loves building blocks, loves making racetracks, loves playing with his little sister. Just a very free-spirited child, very sweet child, very loving, very smart. This child is so smart. Michael is Monkey. I gotta go back to Monkey, I'm sorry. Monkey is just so full of joy all the time. He is inquisitive and curious, very high energy. He constantly trying to do somersaults and flips and going back and trying to find pictures of him. Most all I had were blurred visions and him, lots of pictures of his feet. He'd be so fast, I couldn't catch him fast enough. He's just a great little boy.
What were some of his favorite things to do with his sister?
They would play crash cars a lot. They would play with the cars. Outside, they'd play with the dump trucks and water bottle squirt fights and pillow fights. Just, fun kid stuff.
Well, thank you so much. Eve, do you want to say anything?
Hi, everybody. Is there an echo on my end?
Not for me.
Okay, well, just let me know if you have one.
Okay.
Thank you, Jen, Hannah, for being here, and Jay for you hosting this. I really want to get all of this stuff cleared up for Jen and for Monkey so that we can focus on the right things.
Yes, and we're going to talk a little bit. Jen, thank you for being so willing to talk about your timeline tonight for the day Michael went missing. I really appreciate that. And is that where we're going to go ahead and begin there, Eve? We'll go ahead and begin with the timeline.
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. So, Jennifer, let's start with when you left your house it's in Payette, correct?
Yes.
On July 27th. What time did you, and if I'm asking questions, it's for no other reason than for us to build the time, accurate, concise timeline. Okay. We do the investigation, please just let us know. Let me know.
That'll be fine. I can do that.
Thank you so much. What time did you leave your house in Payette?
That evening, 6:58 p.m.
6:58 p.m.?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you went to the gas station, correct?
Correct. We were probably done with the gas station by about 6:03 p.m. We were back on the road. Gas station's really close to my house. It's less than a minute away.
Which gas station was it? Do you mind?
That was the Shell Jackson's in Payette.
Shell Jackson in Payette?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. And so you left there by 6:03, you left. And then were you alone at the gas station?
No, I was with my husband.
Okay. And when you left the gas station, where did you go?
We immediately started heading towards Nampa. My husband had a pool event that evening. I refer to it as a tournament because it is an individual standing tournament. So if I do say tournament instead of event, they are interchangeable.
Okay, so it's not a tournament where, tell me what you mean by the event, what you're saying, individual events.
So this particular tournament, it's an individual ladder standing. You are only playing against an individual. You play so many games of either 8-ball, 9-ball, or 10-ball. And you have a predetermined set amount of games as to whoever gets to that magic number first, whether it was 7, 9, 11, that person becomes the winner. My husband that evening was playing in a race to 11, so it should have been an excruciatingly long game. But unfortunately, it got a race to 11, so there could have been a total of 20 games played. Actually, a total of 21 games played total. Could have had that potential until I got that phone call from Brandy. We arrived at the venue right about 7:40. I had messaged the gentleman that my husband was going to be playing on the way, letting him know we were going to be about 10 minutes late. We were exactly 10 minutes late. My husband is a major stickler for the rules and the laws. He will not drive 1 mile an hour over the speed limit. Kind of annoying. So we arrived at 7:40. I took advantage of that time, smoked another cigarette, finished a chat conversation I was having with a friend of mine, and then I went in just a couple minutes later, maybe 10, 15 minutes later. I went in, I set my stuff down, asked him what he wanted to drink, walked over to the bartender, asked if she had any iced tea. She did not have any, so I had to walk all the way back to where we were playing. Asked him if he wanted Coke, water, or coffee. He decided on a Coke. Came back with our 2 Cokes, sat down, started crocheting. And did that for probably 40 minutes before I realized I hadn't heard back from my kids that day, make sure that they were okay and safe. My older son picked up my younger son from the airport earlier in the day and drove him home to McCall. I hadn't heard from them, so I just checked in randomly with them. They both finally responded. And then I had a question I needed to ask my sister about something. So I was texting her for a bit, texted my girlfriend who I was making the Afghan that I was working on for, showed her a progress picture basically. And that was pretty much it until I went outside. My sister called me and smoked another cigarette, and Brandy rang through just a few minutes into that conversation, and that's when I learned that Monkey was missing.
I'm going to jump in real quick. Sorry. I want to clarify that, Jay, you said 6:03 when she was talking about the time.
7:03.
7:03.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, I may have said 6 even. Everything's getting boggled up with all these crazy timelines flying around.
Oh, I can imagine. You left your house at 6:58.
8 p.m.
And went to the gas station and left the gas station at 7:03 p.m.
Yes, he stayed outside and filled up the car. I went inside, grabbed us some snacks and drinks to take on the car trip.
Okay. Great. Thank you. And then, so I had one question. How many individuals were playing in the tournament?
That night or overall?
That night.
That night, as far as, well, with my husband, he only played the one gentleman.
Okay, so 2 guys. And then how many games did they play before you got the call about Brandy?
I think my husband was way behind. I don't know. I think it was like 5-2. The other gentleman was in the lead when I got the call, something like that.
Okay.
So they had probably about 7 matches in.
Okay. And did you both leave when you got the call?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. see here. Thank you. Boy,
So
you
just
have
to
a good
clarify,
detail.
sorry,
Excuse
just to
me?
clarify, you both, Jennifer, you both, you and your husband rode together, correct?
Yes.
They arrived
Thank you.
together and then they both left at the same time. How long after Brandy called, may I ask, did you leave?
Minutes.
Okay, so you just got your stuff and got out of there.
Correct.
Okay.
He packed up his pool gear. I packed up the Afghan I was working on, and we left.
And what time did your husband get off work?
He was supposed to get off at 7 p.m. He left 2 minutes early, and even that was a fascinating little tidbit that he even left 2 minutes early.
Are you
He's
saying
such a
10
stickler for
minutes?
the rules. 2 minutes. We left at 6:58. He wasn't supposed to get off work until 7 p.m.
Okay. And then did he meet you? Where did he meet you?
I'm confused. My husband works from home.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that.
That's okay.
He stopped
yeah.
working and you went to the gas station. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So once you got the call, you got in the car and headed to Fruitland.
Correct. No, we drove through Fruitland. We drove to Nampa.
Once you got the call about Michael?
Oh, I'm sorry. Once I got the call about Michael, yes, we immediately packed up our everything and headed to Fruitland. Yes.
And that call came in at 9:24 p.m.?
Correct.
Okay. And you went right to Fruitland, which is about a 40 or let's see,
35 minutes.
37-minute drive. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you make any stops on the way?
No.
No stops. Okay. And then, so the post that you made a post that was pinged in New Plymouth at 9:57, correct?
I posted it at 9:57. Yes.
Posted at 9:57, and it was from New Plymouth, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And do you remember what that post was? What that post was about?
I believe it was actually a community help post. So I was asking for help. So it went to like a broader band. But basically it was just stating that Michael Vaughan was missing from Fruitland, Idaho. He had been missing so many hours. The entire time we were driving back, I was on messenger chats and Facebook feeds, trying to figure out details without calling back and bugging Brandy about anything. I did at one point on that car ride. We had just gotten on the freeway, so it was like 9:36. I called Brandy back and asked her, "Are the rocks still there?" Because the day before, Michael and I had been painting rocks in the shop, and I was like, "Are the rocks still there?" And she ran back to the house from wherever she was searching and was like, "Yeah, the rocks are still here." And I'm like, "Okay." So that kind of ruled out maybe he went to go hide the rocks.
Oh,
Because
okay.
it's
Okay, and that makes sense then if you left around a couple minutes after, like not a minute or two after Brandy called you, and it is 32 minutes from Nampa to New Plymouth, that would put your phone pinging around, or it would put you there at 9:57.
we're correct.
Right. And
We were between mile marker 9 and mile marker 3, somewhere between the two exits. There's a 6 mile gap where there's no exit. So we were somewhere between those two mile marker posts, from where I had posted that. We were
right,
almost there.
And that puts you right there where that would be where you're posting. So the fact that it says 8:57, you think maybe a time zone change, correct?
At the time when that was brought to my attention, I had no idea. It turns out if you're looking at the Facebook page from the web phone, it shows an hour time difference off. So the first thing I thought of was maybe we were so out of range that the strongest tower we picked up was the Huntington Tower. So that's why I blurted that information out. Turns out that it doesn't matter where you are. what time zone you're in. If you're looking at it from the app, it will always show an earlier time zone, an earlier time frame posted for whatever reason. Couldn't tell you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That see, and that makes so much sense then, that 9:57, that's why you'd be right there. And then what time do you recall what time you arrived in Fruitland at the house?
I actually have that information on my other phone. I can tell you exactly when I arrived as soon as I got there. It was still, the sun was still up a little bit. You could still see things kind of clearly. There were people everywhere. And I believe I called Tyler that night at the bequest of Officer Juanita Toll, now Kelleher, changing names. She asked me to call the parents and get them back to the house. And I think she specifically asked for Tyler. And so I called him. So there's a timestamp of when I was for sure there. I know it was shortly after 10 p.m. It was definitely before 10:15.
And okay, and that makes sense as well, because if you left at 9:25, Nampa to Fruitland's 37 minutes, so that would put you there about 10:02 or a few minutes after.
Yeah, I think it was a few minutes after that. It took putting pool cues and everything away. That probably took about 2 to 3 minutes. So yeah, I know we were on the freeway by 9:36 when I called Brandy back, and then there was, I don't know if they're still there or not, a bunch of comments going back and forth between me and other people who were already involved in the search, and I was getting details. What did they say he was wearing? About what time did they figure he left the house? About, trying to get information any way I could, as quickly as I could, so I could get this post out there.
Okay. May I stop for 1 second and backtrack? And I apologize for doing that. I want to go back to the pool tournament for a second.
Okay.
When your husband was 7 games in and you got the call and you left, is that when you forfeited?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
So the reason you forfeited is because Michael Vaughan went missing and you were leaving.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I asked you that. Thank you. And so when you arrived, you saw officers. So was there already a search? Obviously, it was after 10 o'clock. There was a search going on already.
Oh yes, there were hundreds and hundreds of people there. Okay. Hundreds of people, community people, ISP, Fruitland Police Department, Payette Police Department. I don't remember who else was there. There were already helicopters in the sky. They were just getting set up for the drones. The dogs had already been called in. Still took a couple hours for the dogs to get there. Yeah, it was absolute chaos. It was like, it was unlike anything I had ever seen. How many people were out just screaming, and all you could hear was everybody yelling, "Michael, Monkey, where are you? Michael, Monkey, come on out," and for hours.
Wow. And at that point, like on the drive there, and what were you thinking? Were you thinking, tell me what you were thinking on the drive there, and then when you arrived and you were searching, what was going through your mind?
I couldn't fathom him getting out and running away. Or disappearing. I didn't know what to think. I couldn't figure out how anything like this could have happened. Just wanted to know where my little buddy was. Mm-hmm. Where is he?
Mm-hmm. And when was the last time you babysat for Michael?
It was the day before. We finally got Buggy down for a nap. And last I had seen Michael, we had just finished painting the rocks. I was putting everything away. Went back inside, let Tyler know I was leaving and to have a good evening. Buggy was still sleeping and told Michael behave like I always do, which he always did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I probably left right around 4 p.m. that night.
4 p.m. And is that the normal time you leave on the evenings when you babysit?
No, that was kind of a special thing. Tyler had actually been home for a little while. I just wanted to finish painting the rocks with Monkey. The twins were due home that same day that he went missing. So the next day they were due home. So I wanted to have the rocks finished and ready to go hide when I had all the kids available.
Okay, and can you clarify who the twins are?
They're my other friends' daughters that I had previously babysat.
And so you're getting them all together?
It would have been the first time in 2 months that the kids had seen each other because the girls were on vacation down visiting with family members in Nevada.
Okay, and what time did you normally arrive to babysit the kids?
I would usually, normally, well, in the beginning, it was different times. Later on, towards that week, I'd start getting there at about 11:30.
11:30, and then when would you usually leave for the evening?
2:30, 3 o'clock was going to be the norm for a while.
And you said that week you started arriving at 11:30. What were you arriving before?
That would depend. Their schedules were really kind of messed up. Brandy was still working at the pizza place when she got the job working at Albertsons. And then it would depend. Sometimes I would have to be there at 10, 10:30. Other days I wouldn't be needed until like 2. It all depended on what time they just needed me. Their schedules, the schedules were all kind of jumbled.
Okay.
I do have screenshots I can show people. Like, I never knew what time I was actually needed until I got there, and I always tried to get there at least a half hour early.
And did you do dinner with the kids? Were you there usually when you did you usually do dinner with the kids or?
No, I usually did. Well, for most people, it would have been like lunch. But I mean, the way the schedules were, the kids were more on their parents' schedules than they were like on a regular 8 to 8 schedule that most kids would be on. They were closer to the parent schedules, which would be closer to like 11 to 11. So,
so bedtime was 11 p.m.
About that, yeah, 10, 11.
Okay. So the last time you saw Michael, you had finished painting your rocks with him?
Yes.
Your special activity?
Yeah.
Okay, I think. Boy, thank you so much. I know I just asked you so many questions, and I really appreciate you answering them. And I believe I have asked everything, Miss Eve, in the timeline. So you are welcome to, Jennifer, thank you so much. I'm going to let Miss Eve, True Crime with Eve, ask and ask any questions she may have at this point.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you. So my question to start out with, because I'm actually nice to my anybody that comes into my channel, as long as they are respectful. We don't dox people. We don't do ugly things, like that. So I do have a question for you. What kind of phone did you use that day?
Oh,
when you got the calls and you got the text.
It was a real piece of crap. It was a Samsung J something. I had it for probably 2 years at that point, and it was just garbage.
Gotcha. Okay. So I did have some questions from viewers who are not familiar with the case and some who obviously are. And one of the biggest questions that I have is, what did you see when you arrived at Monkey's house? Like, what was the first thing you saw, and what time did you arrive?
We arrived shortly after 10. Again, I'd need my phone to see, and when we pulled into the neighborhood, we had to be very careful because, there were literally people everywhere. Drive really slow. We had to park halfway down the block from their house. So many cars, so many people. It was just utter chaos and confusion, and just the people. Just there was just so many people everywhere.
Awesome. And what did the mother and what did Tyler say to you during that time that you arrived and left?
I didn't leave after I got there. I didn't leave until the next day. Could you be more specific in your question? Because I was there for
I'll try.
hours.
No, sir, that's fine. Who was the first person to speak with you when you arrived?
Juanita Toll, detective officer. At the time, I thought she was just an officer. Turned out to be Detective Toll.
Okay, and do you know if she was the first one on scene?
Yes, she was.
Okay. And is there any relationship between the parents and Juanita Toll?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So she never talked about the detective and being close or having a friendship
No.
kind of relationship? Okay.
No.
Okay. And what do you mind if I asked, what should she ask you?
She asked me if I told her who I was when I got there, that I babysit the kids when they're at work. And she goes, okay, can you call them and get them to come back? And I may have tried calling Brandy first. I'm not sure. I did reach Tyler and said, the officers up here need you back at the house. And so that was basically it. I just called to get them back to the house. And then I kind of went in and just corralled Buggy as much as I could.
Oh, so she asked you to call them to come back to the house?
Correct. Yeah, they were out searching.
And do you know what time that was?
Like I said, it was shortly after 10. I want to say right around 10:07, 10:08, somewhere in there.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Do you think that the police officers had already spoken to them at that point? I would assume.
Oh, yes, absolutely they had.
Okay, just want to clear that up before anybody dissects
Yeah.
that too much.
No, she just wanted the parents, back at the house so that she could have, like I said, there were so many people out searching and searching. Ellie had asked them to please just stay home so that they could be easily reached in case, they were out searching. They couldn't find them for whatever came up, whatever tip came in that could possibly lead them, and they could ask questions, and they just wanted them to be at home.
So, in theory, these parents could have been looking for Michael around the neighborhood or outside of the neighborhood for 2.5 hours in between speaking with Ellie?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that there was a police officer with them the entire time?
I don't know.
Okay. You weren't there until 10, or right?
Right.
Or what was it, after 10? So I just wanted to know if anybody told you anything about that.
No.
Okay. I do have a question really quick from Carolot. Do you know of any reason why Michael would beg his mom to stay home that morning? Was that usual for him to do?
I'm not understanding the question. Oh, beg Brandy to stay home?
Yes.
Okay. No, other than she had been working a lot. She was training someone to replace her at the pizza place while she was in training herself at Albertsons to take over one of the assistant manager positions there. So she wasn't home an awful lot. The kids didn't get to spend a lot of time with her for about a week or two prior to Michael's disappearance.
Okay, got it. Did you see anybody close to Brandy that you would think that would be around a lot? Like, who were those people? And not names, but were there Albertsons employees there?
There were Albertsons employees there. There were Keystone Pizza employees there. You name it. If they were friends and they were close by, they were there, out driving around, walking around, searching for Michael. Everybody was there.
Right. I imagine. I'm glad. And the reason why I ask is sometimes a predator or a suspect will come back to the scene. And that's why I'm asking, like, who was there? Is there anybody that was acting weird that you can recall?
No. No, not anything out of normal for what they would normally be.
Okay. Did you speak to Tyler when you got there, or a little after that?
I'm sure I did. It's most of it's such a blur. I'm sure I did. I mean, I know I did. Now that I think about it, now I know I did, because I was asking Tyler questions like, what was he wearing? Was he wearing this? Was he wearing that? Like, when they first said Minecraft shirt, I had assumed, I'm like, Minecraft or Mario? Because, like, you know, was he wearing the same shirt he was wearing the day before? Tyler said yes. Brandy later came back and said no. And from there, I was like, okay, whatever. I'll just go with whatever they say, and was trying to correct myself as things were coming out, because I was trying to get out as much information as I could, because I wanted this child immediately found.
Of course. If there's any questions from my viewers, please put them in the chat. Were you there for Michael's 5th birthday? And
no, I wasn't. It was mostly done at their house. I think they went out for ice cream. Tyler and Brandy had spent all night the night before. Like, they were up until like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning putting together his new drivable little car thing that he got, green one. And so they were really tired, and they got a late start on the next day. And I sent Brandy a text message of like, hey, what's going on? Because I was supposed to be there, and I never did get a message from them. And she goes, and so finally I called, and I was like, hey, what's going on? She goes, oh, we're so sorry. It's been a really weird day, and we were up all night. And I'm like, okay, no worries. Well, continue having a great evening. I got to get ready for whatever I was getting ready for that night. So I wasn't able to ever make it over there.
I see. Okay. And you know what? I do have copies of photos, and you can only see the immediate family members. So I trust your answer.
Yeah, like I said, I was supposed to be there. They never got in touch with me. She says that she started to text me but never hit send, and that was all she wrote for that day.
Right. And some of these other questions, like how long do they know each other? There is a video that we've discussed this already before. I will put a link in my chat. So if you want to go watch that to get the context of that, I think it would save a lot of time, because this poor woman has answered that question and many other questions so many times that we're really trying to focus on the nitty-gritty of the case. So going back to that night when you arrived, can you describe how Tyler was acting and what he looked like? How did he behave?
He was very disheveled, very haggard, very frantic, fidgety when people get nervous. Anxieties and tensions had to have been running through the roof, and they couldn't find their little boy. It was not unexpected to how his behavior was. Nothing in his behavior shocked me. Nothing in Brandy's behavior shocked me. Nothing seemed out of character for two people whose child just disappeared.
Eve, may I ask a question here real quick?
Absolutely.
When you last babysat, you were mentioning anyone suspicious at the search, and it was a question I had for you that I was saving for a little bit later. But the last day you babysat, did you see any suspicious cars around or people around that day that kind of you noticed looking back that may have been suspicious or at the time thought suspicious?
I'm sitting here shaking my head. No, it's such a quiet neighborhood. Um, you would literally have to have a reason to drive up and around that section of their neighborhood, and it just loops back to 8th Street. There's only like a dozen houses on their particular block. You turn down the other end, it's a cul-de-sac, and again about another dozen houses or so. It's a really small, tiny, off the beaten path. No reason to go down there at all unless you had reason to.
So
So
you didn't see
no,
anyone that you would have
no,
thought suspicious. What about you? So you
no,
didn't get the feeling being watched or someone was watching the house or the kids?
no,
Okay.
no, never had
Okay.
that
Thank you.
feeling. Hmm.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Eve. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was running to get a cup of coffee. um, let me see if there's any in chat. Dope Soul asks, why does the flower vase that broke have to do with Michael missing? I think she was asking somebody else. Sorry. So we'll skip that. Can we talk about the rumor that was going around that you put a GoFundMe out there for the parents in their name? Can you just clear that all up for us?
I can try.
That's what.
First
Yeah,
of all,
that's all we have.
yep. First thing I want to say is it was not a GoFundMe. GoFundMe takes 30% of all monies collected. I did not want to go that route. I wanted to make sure that this family got anything that anybody wanted to help contribute to help with expenses, that it went directly to the family. It did not go through the GoFundMe because to me that's just that's scandalous to me. I don't like that particular program. Um, So I went straight to the bank that they both bank at. They have separate accounts. So I went to the bank and talked to the manager there, and I was like, okay, this is what's going on. This was a couple days later. And they go, yeah, we know, we're so worried. You know, we were out searching. Everybody has been so worried about Michael. And they allowed me to open the account on their behalf. I took the paperwork from the bank to their house. I had made a post while I was sitting in the bank waiting for them to finish up the paperwork that I was opening this account for them, on their behalf. By the time I got to their house, got their signatures on the signed signature card, and got the signature card back to the bank, my account had blowed up. Like, my Facebook had been nuts. There was like, oh, well, they don't have to pay for search and rescue. They don't have to pay for any of this help. They don't have to pay back any of this. So I corrected that because I didn't know. I had a situation happen many, many years prior to where I did have to pay for help from a dog to help find my son. He had slipped down into a little crevice that had like water runoff on the side of the creek, and so we didn't even know that this washout was there. Basically, he was in a
You
hole.
were camping, right?
Yes, we were getting ready for opening day for hunting.
And you were
And
pregnant, right? Like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Before due date?
yeah. I was 9 months pregnant. I had my other son 2 weeks later. Yep. Exactly 2 weeks later, actually. So my son had slipped down into this little washout hole that we didn't even know was there. You couldn't see it. And with the wind and everything, we couldn't hear him crying. We couldn't hear him calling out. And I was frantic. Two of the guys left the camp and went racing down the hill to where they were able to call somebody. The gentleman I was with at the time, well, I wasn't with him with them, but a friend of
Uh-oh, I think we lost her.
I think so too.
I was there with there's people who were with us. I honestly can't even remember who they were right now. They went down and they called their friend. Their friend trains dogs for search and rescue. He's actually a canine handler. And so by the time they drove the hour down the mountain and the guy met up with them and they drove the hour back up to where we were, the dog got out, smelt his shorts that he was swimming in earlier in the day on the creek, and I was splashing around in actually, but and smelt his shorts, immediately went to the hole where he was, and we pulled him out. So because of that, I ended up getting a bill from this canine handler. I believe it was around $1,800 that I was 9 months pregnant. I completely forgot about that bill until I came across it so many years later. And I was like, hey, I just saw a bill from you. And he goes, don't worry, I won't charge you interest. I'm like, thanks. And I paid it off and was good to go from there. But that's why I started this up, thinking they were going to have to pay back all of these resources. I mean, there were helicopters, there were drones, there were dogs, there was so much going on. So
and you were under
many.
the impression, sorry if I speak for you, but you were under the impression that he would be found by now.
By now? Yeah.
At the time?
Yeah.
That was your...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. By day 2, the day I opened the account, I realized we're not dealing with just a missing child who wandered off. I honestly, in my heart and in my gut and everything else, believed that he had been abducted by somebody.
I see.
And
do you think that... I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I don't know where I was going to go after that thought. Sorry.
I was just going to jump off of that. Do you know if the reward fund is based on what you started, or is it a separate account?
From what I understand, the reward fund finally allowed somebody to put up $10,000 originally. And I believe it was shortly afterwards that another $16,000 was added to it by the family from that account. I don't know for sure all the details on that, because by then, nobody was talking to me. So I was like, okay, whatever. Didn't stop me from doing what I was doing. I cannot actually confirm it, but I was told that that's what had happened.
Okay. I have a question in the chat here. Scroll up. Were you ever warned about Brandy's suspicion that someone was watching them?
No.
And for context, guys, she said that she was being watched at one time. And so when Jennifer Hannah heard this, she was like, what? You never told me that. So it was just an interesting thing for her to come out with. Jay, do you have any questions from your chat?
I do, and I have a couple more questions that I wanted to ask regarding the sighting in Nampa. Was that on July 27th?
Yes, I do believe that it was.
Okay,
if I remember correctly.
How did you all hear about that? Were you with Brandy and Tyler when you heard about that, since you stayed with them overnight?
No, that tip did not come out until nearly 2 weeks later. I had been I foolishly jumped into a group that I thought was all about helping finding missing kids. What it turned into was a circus of hate and just speculation and really nasty. It just got really nasty and got really horrible. So, but somebody had been in one of those group chats and commented, yeah, I heard about a kid who, yeah, one of my friends had seen a kid at a gas station, or I can't remember exactly how he worded it. I believe that there was a kid, one of my friends had seen a kid at the gas station in Nampa. Hey, go figure. And they thought it was odd because the kid was wearing a light blue Minecraft t-shirt and had no shorts on, had no pants on. Actually, he said he didn't have any pants on. I don't know if he was actually wearing the shorts or not, but it sounded to me like he wasn't wearing anything on his bottom. I tried like hell to get this person to go forward to LE, the person that actually made the sighting, not the person who commented on the sighting. I figured out who they were. I tried like hell to get them to go forward to LE with the information that they had. They refused to do it. I put it in as a tip of something, that I had heard, and and I was like, okay, well, I can get you to this person, but they're not going to talk to you just because of the lifestyle that these people choose to lead. So it was followed up on. I know that. I don't know if anything ever came from that footage.
Okay. So it wasn't the night he went missing that it was this sighting was at the gas station, and it was someone who shared it a couple weeks later.
Correct. And it came to me secondhand. I eventually tracked down the person who had witnessed him being there and just thought it was odd, but he's like, oh, people do crazy things with their kids these days. He wasn't wrong. Tried really hard to get him to come forward. He absolutely refused. I don't know if Ellie ever did get in touch with him or not. I don't know what became of that, but I just did what I could, because when I would mention to the officers involved, it's like, okay, well, I'm reading this on Facebook, I'm reading this on this, I'm reading this on that, I'm hearing this here, I'm hearing that there. General response was, okay, yeah, we don't follow that because it doesn't help our investigation, really. And I'm like, okay. I still kept track of everything, or tried to anyway, with the help of some friends. We were following basically everything that was said. But there was a lot, and I mean a lot, of misinformation given out.
Yes. Okay. So I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm going to take a question from the comments if you don't mind. Do they have a lot of missing children in that area?
No.
Okay.
I mean, as far as I know, no.
Mm-hmm.
Michael's case is the only one I've ever followed.
Yeah. I know Idaho has a lot of missing teenagers, cold cases, but Fruitland, not a lot of missing children. Correct?
No. As far as my understanding, that would be correct. But I honestly don't know.
Okay. And do you think, knowing the neighborhood as you do, I've only been in a short time when I visited out there, do you think it's plausible to say someone could have gotten him out through the tunnel?
No.
Okay. Can you tell us
No.
why?
Because they would have had to walk. So the CCTV that they picked up, one of the angles of the Honda Pilot, the guy walking, the jogger, and the blue car, all came from the same footage. Like, I could see that it was taken from the same camera when they showed them to me when I was in the LE office. They were all taken from the same camera. They since then had different angles from different other cameras in the area. You would have seen Michael on camera. They'd have to walk past all of these same cameras to get to that tunnel from where he lives.
Okay, thank you. And what do you think would have been plausible for someone to exit through the farm roads?
No. No. I no. No, I have all-wheel drive. I wouldn't even try and tempt one of those roads.
Okay.
Only the
So,
farmers know where the washouts are, so no, I wouldn't even attempt it.
so if someone were to leave the neighborhood, in your opinion, they would have been leaving driving out of Southwest 8th Street and therefore been on camera.
Correct. Well, no, they would have been on camera. They would have passed by the one CCTV footage.
Right, so
Correct.
they would have been on camera then. So one of,
Correct.
in this theory, then one of the cars that's exiting probably had my.
Well, now, wait a minute. I don't know if those neighborhoods connect. When you first turn off Whitley into that neighborhood, there's another road that runs north-south that takes you way out into the boonies, or it takes you into the one neighborhood. And I don't know if that's a back way into the rest of the neighborhood on the other side of the park. I don't know. So it's possible somebody could have gone through that neighborhood and come out that way if it's connected. I don't know if it's connected.
She's talking about the Treasy era. Treasy area.
Correct.
Okay. I don't think you can get a vehicle through there.
Well, no. Okay, so on the other side of that neighborhood there, but I'm wondering if that neighborhood connects to the first street that turns off of Whitley. Like you turn off Whitley, there's immediately another stop sign you have to stop at, and then it's a 4-directional stop sign right there,
You mean
right before you get to the splash pad.
Oh, no. Okay, you're in a different area. Okay.
I'm right at the entrance to Whitley into that neighborhood.
Okay. Now, did Michael like to go to the tunnel?
I didn't even know about the tunnel until months after he went missing.
Okay, so it's nowhere that you've ever had to chase him down and out of the tunnel.
I've never had to chase him down.
Oh. So, okay, so you've not when you were diapering the baby or putting her down for a nap or making lunch, he didn't use that opportunity to.
No.
Okay. Okay. How long did you babysit for Michael, may I ask?
I believe I started watching the kids in April of 2021.
Okay. I think that's all our questions so far. Do you have some more, Eve?
Yeah, I have some from the chat. What do you think of Tyler's story?
I honestly don't know Tyler's story, so I don't know what to think of.
Basically, the one that was on the KTVB interview. What was it, on July 22nd?
Still at that time.
I think we lost her.
Oh,
There,
I lost my internet. Hold on one second.
Okay. My chat, feel free to ask questions. Lady R2, R2.0, I will go ahead and get to your question. I wasn't skipping you. I appreciate, let me see, I have some new comments too. Okay. Callie Dime, I'll ask yours as well. Thank you. Jennifer, are you back with us?
I'm trying. Am I still breaking up real bad?
No, you're good.
Okay. It's probably going to switch back any second. I don't know why I lost my Wi-Fi connection. I'm sorry. What was the question?
I have a question right here. Let me ask you this one. What is your theory of what happened to Michael and how did you come up with it?
Oh, that big long one that I posted. I came up with that one because of all of the tips that were coming in offline. Like there were sightings of a little boy who fit Michael's description at a Walmart. There was another sign of a child being in a car with an older couple and another child who also fit his description. So my theories of what happened pretty much all stemmed from when I started talking to that one person about seeing him at the gas station in Nampa, which is how I was able to do that. There had been people saying that they called in reporting sightings of him, and if you basically you could track it. You could track where the direction that they were headed and everything. So the way that the information was coming in from where people stated they saw him and what state they saw him in and what condition he was in and this, that, and the other thing. That's how I pieced together that theory.
Okay, and in the one text that you put out, you said you believed he was in Nampa within the first hour. Can you explain that?
Yeah, because that would have fit the time frame of when the one person gave the tip that he was seen at a gas station with no pants on. And he was being held by somebody while they were pumping the gas, and he seemed he said that, yeah, the kid just seemed like really out of it, like had been crying and eyes were puffy and red and was just not responsive to anything going on around him.
Do you know if law enforcement ever pulled CCTV there, the camera surveillance?
I had heard that they did. I don't know whatever became of it. I don't even know what gas station they were at.
Okay. And I have a question from one of my subscribers wanting to know kind of what was the environment, relationships like, and discipline like in the house?
There wasn't much. Like if the kids started acting up, they'd have their electronics taken away. That was about it. There was not a lot of corporal punishment. There was only one incident I ever heard of where Michael got spanked, and that was because he had gotten out previously and was immediately dragged home. And according to Brandy, he got his butt whooped. So who did the whooping? I don't know. I assume her. I don't know.
Okay.
But,
so kind of a lax schedule in the house as well. And that had to do with the parents' working schedules too. They were working around the parents' schedules.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And then did the dog handler ever did you ever hear from the dog handler that Michael's scent was found down the highway?
Yes, I did hear that.
Okay. And is that where you got your route from Nampa, Colorado, Utah, Texas, and into Mexico? Did the dog from
No, that came well, partially in case, yes. That's where I started it, and that's where things made sense. Well, to me, to come up with that theory, I mean, I read that thing now, and I'm just like, oh my God, it's crazy. But yeah, and again, that all came from people stating on different different groups and forums, of sightings of monkey is where that came from. I'd like to address a question, but yeah.
Go ahead.
Level-Headed's asking, how many families did I babysit for at the Vaughns and another family or more families? 3 separate families that I babysat for. I did not have, correct. So there was the Vaughns, there was the twins, and then there was the baby. He was 9 months old at the time when I was babysitting. 8 months and 9 months old. I did not have the baby and the twins at the same time because the twins were down in Nevada. That Saturday would have been the first time I would have had all 5 kids at the same time. Let's see how that goes.
Now, I know you said you started babysitting Michael in April 2021. How long have you known Michael?
That's actually when I officially met Michael, was when I started babysitting the kids. I had met the older two kids previously at social functions in town, but it was just a brief thing. And more the older sister than any of the other ones.
Okay. Eve, do you have anything you want to ask?
Yeah, I have a few questions. Somebody wants to know, outside of Michael and Buggy, who else did you watch? And not names. Please do not put names.
Yep, I watched two twin girls. They were 6 and had just turned 7. And then there was a little boy who I also watched. He was 8 months and 9 months old while I was watching him.
Okay, awesome. And I'm sure that that's going to, I think the reason why Shovelheaded here wants to know is because you had a hard time with the little one after Michael, correct?
I had a hard time with everything. It wasn't just not being able to watch the baby. It was also I had to limit my contact even with the girls. Because I was just an emotional mess. Absolutely emotional wreck.
I think that's totally understandable. I couldn't imagine. I probably would do the same thing. I would have been totally shut down for a while. So if
I tried to watch
about her driving around and trying to figure out what to do with this little boy because the family was too inebriated. That's why she was watching the boy. That's why.
Well, no, that weekend, that particular weekend was the person who watches the boy during the week. It was her birthday weekend, and it was my first day having a child back in my care, and I couldn't deal with it, I couldn't do it anymore. I felt really bad about it. I still feel really bad about it. It's been a year since not quite a year since I've seen him, but I couldn't keep my composure together long enough to care for anybody. I mean, I wasn't even taking care of myself, let alone trying to take care of anybody else's child. I couldn't do it anymore.
And actually, it was the right thing to do to reach out for help on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really proud of you for that.
I just can't imagine. Wow.
Do you know if they caught Michael on camera that day?
I do not. I don't know.
At this time, I think I'm not going to talk about the older siblings. I think it's kind of, at this point, inappropriate, especially now that one of the older siblings went on panel a few times. So definitely check out my videos and Harsh Realities videos if you want to know about those details.
Jennifer, may I ask you a question? Anytime between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m., did your car show up on the cameras going into Southwest A Street?
No, they did not.
Okay. At any time between 6 and your arrival to the neighborhood to search for Michael, were you notified that your cell phone pinged in that area?
I was not.
Okay.
My cell phone would have pinged for a minute as we were driving through. Because we do drive past that neighborhood to get to where we were going, but we never turned into the neighborhood.
Okay. And if you had turned into the neighborhood, you would have been on camera, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then can I just ask you about one more text, and then I'll let Eve go, and then I'll go back to my questions from my viewers. I saw your message where you said, when you were talking about Nampa and this and the sighting of the little boy, you said, and they were looking for my car, not the Honda Pilot. Can you explain that to us?
Yes. Also in that same group that became ever so toxic for me, somebody had stated that they were working really close with Ellie, search and rescue, volunteering his time. And he made a comment in the chat that they were searching for the babysitter and my car at that gas station. And that's why I made that comment. It was like, nope, so close. They weren't looking for me. I'm the one who got that tip pushed in.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Eve, do you have some you want to ask from your viewers?
I actually want to ask her something that I found out, and I did put it in a video. So when I showed you the screenshot yesterday that Brandy cleared you, which clearing is not an official term. It's just a PR term, guys. You only get cleared whenever there is someone who is indicted or charged and booked. Okay. The prosecutor's office has sent that charge to be prosecuted. So Jennifer, when I sent you that Brandy said you were seen on cameras and you've been cleared, was that the first time you heard that yesterday?
Which part? I'm sorry.
Where you were on the clip.
Oh, when I was on camera in Nampa at that time.
And Brandy
that would
said
be
that law enforcement cleared you?
I believe that I was on camera. It would not have been in Nampa. It would have been in Payette.
Well, maybe they did see you in Nampa. Maybe they saw your car going somewhere else. Or not somewhere else, but a camera somewhere else saw you going to it.
Between 6:40 and 7 p.m., that would not have been possible.
You never know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I mean, but I do know because my car never left the house. I mean, they tracked my the GPS location sensor thingy on the car. They tracked the phones. They had all that data. They could see that I was still on my computer at the house at 6:38 p.m., 6:37, 6:38, whenever my last message to Jules was before I picked up my conversation with her when I did get to Nampa.
So if you left your house at 6:58 and it's a 46-minute drive to Nampa, that would put you, that's what's being questioned in the chat. So I'm trying to address it right now. If you left at 6:58 from Nampa, went to the gas station, left the gas station at 7:03 and drove your 46 minutes to the pool hall in Nampa, you would.
See, I don't know where they're getting this 46 minutes from. If they're using the street limit or the highway limits at the point in time now, yes. A year ago, no, they were different.
How were they different? Can you explain that?
There was a stretch of about 3 miles that was shortened recently from 80 miles per hour to 65 miles per hour. So if they're using the time now, yeah, that would probably extend the time out. It only took us about 37 minutes to get from where we were. We had no traffic, no obstructions, nothing at all whatsoever to get straight to that pool hall.
So it took you 37 minutes because they had shortened it by 3 minutes now. Or then.
Well, 3 miles, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 3 miles now where you can't drive 80 miles per hour. You have to go 65. I don't know if that's enough time to change the time that much. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's.
Well, and Brandy
it's all been verified on my phone. Yeah.
Brandy didn't say how you were cleared. She just said that law enforcement cleared you, and they think you're innocent.
Correct.
So either way you look at it. Oh, and she also said you passed your poly.
Yes.
So even
I don't even. I haven't even heard if I passed my poly, not officially.
So even if the timeline you got wrong somehow or misunderstood, the poly would have picked that up, in my opinion. Because if you did something nefarious, they would have more than likely detected that, in my opinion. I don't know.
So you passed your poly and you have been officially cleared.
No, not officially.
No.
Okay.
I haven't even been told that I passed my poly by Ellie. I only heard it through Brandy stating it and some other people stating it.
Okay. Let's see. I have a question here. Did you recently sell your vehicle, and why did you think that selling it would look suspicious? And I'm not
No,
sure what that reference, but it's from the comments.
Yes, the speed limit is 80 miles per hour in Idaho. No, I did not sell my vehicle. I'm looking to trade it in now because I'm having other issues, but that's neither here nor there. The reason why I thought it would look suspicious is because at the time everybody was pointing their fingers at me and being horrible, just being absolutely horrible to me in public, and to the point to where I was actually fearful for my life. You know, I had been doing these prayer circles for Michael for weeks and weeks and weeks after he went missing. I finally had to stop him because a screenshot got to me that somebody said, "Oh, well, we know where she's going to be at this time on this day. We could just go take her out." Great, thanks. Nope. And that was the end of the prayer circles. Sucked.
I know doing that was for Michael, and for that to end must have been tough. That was probably very tough. And everything that everyone does, whether we're all on the same side of the fence, wherever we are, hearing his story, doing things like prayer circles, research, whatever anyone can do, boots on the ground to help, get flyers out, whatever we can all do as our part. So I think that's amazing that you did do that. So you're saying the speed limit was 80 and 3 miles of it is now down to 65, correct?
Correct, but apparently this person did the math not at 80 miles per hour, so hopefully that'll fix his math problem that he's having.
Okay, am I behind?
A little bit. Yeah, no, he's like, the speed limit's 80 miles per hour. Yes, so that would change the amount of time it would take me to get from Payette onto the freeway at mile marker 3 off 95 onto the 84. From there, it is 80 miles per hour until, I believe it was exit 26 at the time. And now they've shortened it to just before exit 25, you have to go 65.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, honestly.
And no, I don't think it's okay. Sorry.
Well, and I know you're getting so many questions over and over, and but also let's remember her car was not there between 6 and 10 p.m. on camera. Okay, and nor so it would have been on camera if you had entered the neighborhood during that time as well.
Yeah, I would have been seen.
Correct. That's what and you were not.
No.
Okay. So based on whether
well, let me just clarify. From my standing and from where I know I was, no, we did not pass that camera. That hasn't been cleared by Ellie. Nothing's been cleared by Ellie on me, as far as I know.
Okay. But you did not pull into Michael's home neighborhood between 6 and 10 p.m.
No, it would have been after 10 p.m.
to go search for him. Right? You were going there to search for him at that point. Addie, are you in the house? Okay.
Were you aware of any domestic violence in the house when you were there?
And that's a joke, people. That's a joke.
I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
I'm just so tired of this question.
What
I
did
know.
you,
We've covered him so many times, but let's ask again.
what did you say, Eve?
No, there. As far as I know, there were no domestic issues between Tyler and Brandy, Bob and Tyler, Brandy and Bob. No domestic issues at all whatsoever.
Thank you. I know that's not an easy topic.
Was Michael
Did
looking
law
forward?
enforcement?
Oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jay.
No, you go ahead. I was just going to ask a Michael question. You go ahead.
Do you know any details on the relationship between Jennifer Smith Newman and Tim Newman and the family? And for context, guys, that's the Southwest Arizona and 9th Street corner house, our neighbor.
No, I don't know of any fraternizing or anything that may have gone on between any of them.
Okay. And Lady R, I'm so sorry. I did not mean that towards you at all.
Level Headed would like to know if Brandy and Tyler are great parents.
I think so. Yes. This is a couple who I know for sure since Bucky had been born, like they made their work schedules work around their lives so that they did not need a babysitter. And it wasn't until Tyler got his new job that they actually needed extra help because there was going to be overlap that they couldn't cover.
Do you happen to know if, like, was Michael looking forward to kindergarten? I know you say he's smart. We've seen the video of him just fascinated with the stars and the moon. Was he looking forward talking about kindergarten? Did he have that understanding yet that he was going?
Extremely excited to start school. I had a feeling once he got there, though, it would have had more issues. Because, like I said, he's an extremely intelligent boy. I wouldn't have been surprised if they skipped him right out of kindergarten within the first couple of weeks. And that's just my opinion.
Wow.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant child. Brilliant.
Do you know if the parents were inebriated or intoxicated within 24 hours of his disappearance?
Within 24 hours, I want to say no. 48, yeah. I think we all were at that point. We were exhausted. None of us had slept. None of us had eaten. I eventually had to just get up and leave and go do stuff and be proactive in my searching, trying to get as much information out as I could. And I couldn't do that while I was sitting there. I was trying to be a comfort. Apparently, I wasn't. So sorry. Did not mean to cause more problems, but just doing what I felt at the time was right. I mean, there was it was like the second day, Brandy just looked at me and she's like, "You need to go home. You need to get on with your life. You don't have to be here." And I'm like, "You don't seem to understand. This was my life. Taking care of your kids was my life. It was my life. It was what I looked forward to every day, was going and playing with the kids and just enjoying myself and listening to them laugh and watching them play. It was the highlight of my life at that time."
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I didn't know what else to do. And so I started some flyers and got those out there, and somebody came up with the idea of doing a prayer circle, which had a great turnout. And then I tried to continue those prayer circles. And sometimes we'd have a decent turnout. Sometimes it would just be me sitting in the park by myself.
Oh, I have a
And
question about that. Thank you.
sure.
Thank you so much for doing that, by the way. I never saw any of the parents there, not one time in the pictures, but I am so thankful that you did that. And I
I'm
wish that
glad I
they were
did
there
it
with
too.
you. Yeah.
I do too. I invited them. They just couldn't face the public. They didn't want to be around people. You know, they were in absolute turmoil. They were absolute wrecks.
Right.
I don't blame them for not going.
Right. And that's
Excuse me.
that's the craziest thing is that I've never heard you tell me, or anyone for that matter, that you think they're guilty. But they are so not on your side to clear you. And I'm sorry for that, Jen. I really am.
Yes, Jen did say in my chat the other day that she didn't believe they had anything to do with it. So I appreciate you sharing so much of your inner emotions and thoughts, and it's not easy hearing it, so I know it's not easy living it. Callie Dime, she had been babysitting the kids since April of 2021, 3 months before.
And I want you guys who's listening to get that Summer Rose energy that you know all of the details of the case. Do that with Michael's. Because there is no similarity in the fight for Michael like there was and is for Summer. Let's get there. But let's do it right.
We need to keep Michael's story out there. We need to keep brainstorming, sharing what we all know, and praying for that little guy. Has anyone in here tonight seen one of the Homeward Bound trucks yet? I have some family in a couple of the states and they haven't located. I'm so anxious for someone to see it on the road. There's a question, and I'm not sure if you want to get into it, Jennifer. It's on my chat, and I know a few people are curious about this, so you use your discretion if you would like to answer it. It says, "Why are the parents against you, ma'am? You seem amazing. You talk about Monkey like he is your family. God bless you." I think a few of us are wondering when you said, and then I didn't get to, no, people stopped talking to me. So can you explain that for those who are in the house who aren't aware?
I don't know what happened. I just know I was in the thick of it one minute and out of it the next. Everybody just stopped talking to me. Everybody stopped returning messages. Everybody stopped returning calls. I don't know why. I haven't a clue. I would love to know. I mean, there's been some things said to me that they've said, and I'm like, okay, well, why didn't they confront me on that? But what can I do now? There's nothing I can do. They want to reach out. They know how to reach me. And but I have no idea why they all turned on me the way they did. I don't know.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. If you have any more comments, please post them in the chat. Jennifer, the same person would like to know if possibly it could have been depression, anxiety, heartbreak as the reasoning as to why they stopped spending time with you.
I have no idea.
Okay. Thank you, Jeep Girl.
It could be. But there are some things that are just plain mean and evil that we have seen and heard from at least the mother that was unwarranted. And she has a chance to make amends in that sense. But you know what? She still has a missing child, and that should be her number one focus. She can do the amends later. However, it's not okay, in my opinion, to be attacked by so many people that backs her. That's a character problem, and that's not going to help find Michael. So I would really appreciate, on behalf of Jen, Hannah, and other people who are trying to help, stop it. It's not going to help.
You know, and I'd like to bounce off that too. If we could all remember that we're here because of Michael, for Michael, whether we disagree on certain flags that some of us think are red flags, some of us think are not, you know, the details of timelines, we're all trying to work for the same goal, Michael. And let's just keep it together. Let's keep working for Michael Vaughan. Brandy has asked us to continue to be vigilant, share his story. Let's do it. Let's, you know, ask the questions we need to ask, go back through things. You know, some of us are going back through the beginning again. And I have a good question here, if you don't mind my asking it. How was Michael abducted if no suspicious cars were seen leaving the neighborhood? Well, there was a Honda Pilot OSIDE photo that was seen leaving, and we're not sure really where that is right now. But did they ever have sketchy people over there? Oh, did they ever have sketchy people in the home that you may, you know, think, oh, later on in hindsight, since I think what this person is getting to is because JD said friends, family, is there anyone you saw over there that you would be concerned at this point about?
No.
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 Okay.
Well, Jen, Hannah, thank you so much for being on the panel. I have to hop off. But you know that I am here to support Michael. And if you need anything, you just let me know. Thank you for being there for Michael.
Always.
Thank you, Eve. We're going to wrap up here too. Jennifer, I truly appreciate you being here, willing to answer a million questions in order to help Michael, to answer about that day and your relationship with him, which I know isn't easy. And those of us who don't know him are just looking for that little connection that you shared with us. And thank you so much. Really, really honestly appreciate you bringing us closer to Michael tonight.
My pleasure.
And everyone in the chat, thank you so much. If we did not, can I ask you one more question, Jennifer, that's in the chat coming up? Did you delete your Facebook 3 days prior to his disappearance?
No.
You already answered that. Can you
explain? No. I don't understand the question. Why did I delete my Facebook 3 days prior to his disappearance? I didn't.
Right. You explained that you had blocked some things, correct?
No. This is saying 3 days prior to his disappearance. Absolutely not. Did I ever? I didn't try and even shut down my Facebook until a couple of weeks ago because I just needed everything to be off for a minute. And when I went back, somebody came back on just a little bit later. Like, I thought you said you turned off your Facebook. I did. And they go, well, it's back up. And it was back up. Like, all of the settings had reset to normal, and it was just weird. It was like I was not allowed to turn off my Facebook. But no, I have never deleted my Facebook.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Thank you for being here, for being so open and transparent.
Not 3 days before.
honestly appreciate you being so transparent and open and doing it for Monkey. Truly. We're all praying for Monkey to be located and for answers to come soon. Thank you so much. And to all of you in the chat, thank you for being here, being so amazing and respectful, just as you were when Brandy joined us in the chat. Thank you all. Miss Eve, True Crime with Eve, thank you. And we will see you on the next case. Talk soon, my friends.
Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys, thank you for coming on to the live. I can hear myself speak, and when I try to speak, it is like I'm starting all over again. So I'm sorry for me having those issues, but again, thank you so much for being here. For Michael, thank you for supporting the channel in a sense of trying to find Monkey and being sweet to our panel and our members in the chat. So as you know, and as I say, let's find these babies. Let's find Michael Vaughan. Drink your water. Hug your babies, your grandbabies, your fur babies. And I will see you guys on the next live. Justice for Michael Vaughan. Have a wonderful evening.
What?